Welcome into the Shotgun Sports Bar. This is a premiere episode of just casual sports talk across Shotgun Sports Network. Scout, what's going on, man? Not too much. It's Ryan Messer here from Shotgun Sports Network here in the U.S. And we got Scout Hnatuik out of Canada. So just us joining forces, man. Absolutely. Absolutely. Gonna start things off right now. Was gonna talk about the Georgia Tech game. Georgia Tech. It is insane right now because Georgia Tech is beating Georgia right now. It was at the halftime, 17-0, but Georgia just scored. Georgia just scored a touchdown. So it is now 17-7. So maybe we'll be able to get this going. Right. Absolutely. So uh what you got watching over there? The Washington football team 2.0. That's odd.
Well, right, they're a 9, 10, and 3 team right now. So they're basically at 500, especially in points. Uh, they've relocated. They were the very floundering Phoenix Coyotes, and all of a sudden you
Yes.
take them out of, Arizona Coyotes. You take them out of Arizona, and all of a sudden they start winning games. It's kind of wild. But Edmonton Oilers, I mean, 11, 9, and 2. I think everybody's kind of hoping that they will. I think they're actually expecting the Edmonton Oilers to make it back to the Stanley Cup Finals.
Right.
Right now, the season's looking a little bit. It's looking good for them. It's not looking bad, but they're also almost at 500 as well. And letting 2 goals in the first period, it's a little bit shaky, but there's still a lot of hockey left over on that game.
Yeah.
But man, I think one of the most exciting games this week. What about those Chicago Bears? I know you're a Minnesota Vikings fan, so you probably were loving that Bears loss, but they lost to the Detroit Lions, who that's a
I was
team as
actually pulling for the Bears on that one. On pulling for the Bears
Bears.
because needed them to win that so Detroit can have another loss. So but it is what it is. Maybe your Packers will take care of them and knock them off this coming up week on
Yeah,
Thursday.
I'm not gonna hold my breath. Like, I really hope that the Packers win that game against the Detroit Lions. And honestly, I think a lot of people are waiting for that one. Two very competitive NFC North teams. And the Minnesota Vikings are up there too. It's a crazy division, except for the Bears. Like,
Yes. Where
Every
everybody's just beating up on the Bears right now.
yeah.
Even except for the folks in our division, because we're the only ones that are struggling with the Bears.
Hey, no, except for the Packers, because
That's true. That's
still
true.
own the Bears. The Packers still own the Bears. Aaron Rodgers handed the keys on the way out of Lambeau Stadium, and Jordan Love, he's been playing pretty good. There is, I think, a bit of concern. Like, you don't want to see him get injured. So, and I mean, he is a little bit prone to injury. He did, I think, have a light injury earlier on in the season. So I'm just hoping that Jordan Love continues to ball out. And I think what's funny too is there are so many people on the Aaron Rodgers talk. Oh, they're ruining Jordan Love. Oh, maybe Jordan Love isn't good enough. This and that. No, I mean, it seems like Aaron Rodgers and Jordan Love both did their job over the 3 years. The 3 years of apprenticeship, I guess I would put it, right?
Yeah.
2 or 3 anyways. But yeah, Jordan Love was backup for a while. And this is what happens when you develop properly, when you actually go through a proper development with, your rising or your future star quarterback. You take a look at the Bears, and they threw Justin Fields to the Wolves, and then they threw Caleb Williams. Then they threw Caleb Williams to the Wolves. And it's like, dude, like, you kind of need a really good, rock steady, even backup vet. Like, let this guy develop properly, get him some proper mentorship. Don't just take a college stud and throw them in that position. Like, I think that's one of the most frustrating parts is when football teams and even hockey teams do that. If you don't have like one of those like bona fide star like Caleb Williams, I wouldn't say, sure, he had a really good college career, but I don't know if you actually look at him like an elite. And I mean, with Jordan Love, maybe you didn't look at him that way either. I think, those quarterbacks that do draft really high in the NFL draft, I do think that, they're good, and some of them are game ready, but 70% of them should be sitting behind a veteran to get that experience. Like, the Patrick Mahomes, those only come up so often.
And really, the Bears really don't have much there behind Williams there besides, a couple wide receivers. But I mean, they really don't have much of a team to put around him right now.
No, like when Khalil Mack was on the Bears for that first year, the Bears actually like had a shot. Who was quarterback? I don't know if it was Jay Cutler. No, Jay Cutler was out of there. Who
Can't
was
remember.
in it? Mitch Trubisky, I think.
Yes. Yes. Oh man, Mitch Trubisky.
Just another case, though, of them throwing quarterbacks to the Wolves without a problem. Now, okay, mind you, I'll take that back.
Honestly, I think Mitch Trubisky would have been better anywhere else if he had started anywhere else.
Yeah, possibly.
But,
yeah, he could.
Well,
but see, once again, it's a development plan, and it's that contingency plan for your future star quarterback. Like you still have to develop them properly. Like I said, the Patrick Mahomes cases don't come up very often. Jordan Love sat behind somebody for how long? And you see those kind of like, what is it, Brock Purdy? The rise of Brock Purdy. Excuse me. He was kind of subject to that development, right? He got to sit behind quarterbacks for a little bit, and then he came up. Like, I think, what was he? San Fran? That would have been Jimmy G.
Mm-hmm.
Was Brock Purdy sitting behind Jimmy G?
Yeah.
Quarterback too? Yeah. So he got a veteran to learn off of, to learn the elite stuff, to learn the intricacies, to develop properly. And now Brock Purdy's doing pretty good. I don't think the San Fran 49ers are doing that great this year, are they?
They're all right. They're not doing the best, but they're not the same they were last year.
Yeah. And let's see the record here. I'm just bringing it up. Ooh, 5-6. Yeah, they suck this year.
But it's been a bunch of them been pretty close games.
Yeah.
We beat them earlier in the season, so.
Yeah, well, the Edmonton Elks lost like 6 games by like, 3 points each or whatever, right? Unless I'm touching like, I know how that goes. The L is the L, baby. The L hurts every single time. 49ers fans got to be beside themselves this year.
Well, being on the good side of that, the Stallions actually had a bunch of games last season that were really close games, and really only one of them that we lost. You know, so
Yeah, only one of them. Okay, championship. Take it easier. Come on. This guy talking 3B. Yeah, well, I can relate. No, get out of here, Ryan. Get out of here, man. What the heck? No, those Birmingham Stallions, though, man. I gotta say, and Royal Retros, makers of this fine hat right here. Royal Retros, they got some pretty slick Birmingham Stallions gear, but that team, they lost a couple players almost immediately after that championship, right?
yeah. So we lost a lot of players actually. Kevin Austin, I think he's with New Orleans right now. He's
Right.
doing really well. His first actual game on the roster, he wound up catching have two catches that he was the only two targets he had, he caught, and he
Nice.
wound up actually one of them was a crucial third down conversion. So he's doing pretty good. Had a couple guys. The UFL is just becoming such a great team for these NFL
Developmental.
teams.
Yeah, it's
To you have a look. I mean, just for example, for the Stallions, we had last year, I mean, year before last, we had Brandon Aubrey, who is arguably one of the greatest kickers in the league right now. And
yep.
now you got from the kicker that was at Michigan is now in Detroit, and he's living and lighting it up. So it is insane.
No, and it is good, and you can definitely tell with those championship teams, right? Like, I mean, frig, you get a three-peat. That's got to be worth something. I know that who is it? Adrian Martinez. He went to the Jets.
Yeah, he's with the Jets right now. I think he's still on the practice squad, but I'm not sure what's gonna happen there because a little shaky right there with the Jets right now. Even with your buddy Aaron
Boy,
Rodgers.
my boy Aaron Rodgers is. It looks like trouble in paradise, doesn't it? Over
Yeah,
there in Jets land. I love
grass
how
isn't always greener, even if it is to another green team.
no, like right now, Devontae Adams and Aaron Rodgers basically got each other out there. Like Devontae Adams went off to Raiders land because he wanted to go play for his childhood team. Thought it was going to be all glitz and glam, and thought it was going to be some green grass, right? And he goes over there, and it absolutely sucks. He went over, was all excited about playing with Derek Carr because I think he knows Derek Carr pretty well. And then Derek Carr gets traded, and he's like, well, or no, I think Derek Carr got signed in the offseason or could have been traded. I don't exactly remember. I don't follow NFL that closely, but it is funny that Devontae Adams goes to play with Carr. Derek Carr gets traded, and then he's like, okay, well, if I'm gonna go play with anybody, I'm gonna go play with Aaron Rodgers. Like, I'm gonna go play with my guy, and he was like there like the next day. He was in New
Yeah,
York, Devontae Adams. So yeah, I mean, I kind of feel for Aaron Rodgers in that scenario, but at the same time, I also don't really care. Like, dude, you decided to move on from the pack, and I don't think anybody should ever blame him. Pulled a Brett Favre and literally like went to the same team that he did. I don't think anybody should fault Aaron Rodgers for that. I think there are Packers fans that are kind of snickering at that scenario, but at the same time, Aaron Rodgers will be up in Title Town on the walls of the stadium at some point, and he'll have an induction ceremony, and he'll forever be known as one of the best Packers to ever do it, right?
right.
I love how the Packers, out of any position, their quarterback position is always rock steady. Like they very
Always.
rarely have an issue. I think they go through like maybe like a 1 to 3 year phase where they may have to go through a couple people, but then they'll still go ahead and draft and they'll still go ahead and develop.
Yeah, and I gotta say this. One thing that is, biting uh, Green Bay is letting Aaron Jones go,
Yeah,
coming
he's
over to the Minnesota Vikings.
yeah,
So he's been putting on a show here with Minnesota. So it's been great to have him. And Daniel Jones is here. How about
yeah.
that? He just reported with the team today. I just saw the press conference earlier today, and where he's actually reported with the team. He's getting to know everybody.
Yeah.
He actually got to practice and all. So
Crazy. And is he listed as backup quarterback? He'd have to be, right?
Yeah, he's gonna have to be a backup quarterback.
Who was behind Sam
Honestly,
Darnold before?
until Sam Darnold gets hurt, I don't think we'll see Jones at all.
No, but who was the backup for the Vikings before Joe?
We have Nick Mullins.
Oh, okay. Did he get shifted to practice roster?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Maybe I know we released one quarterback. I can't remember who it was. His name was Nick too, but it wasn't Nick Mullins.
Oh, but they also dress 3 quarterbacks fairly often.
Yeah,
right?
they do 3 quarterbacks. Yeah, I think
Yeah,
they're. I think they're third string or the practice squad quarterback staying. So
that's fair. Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, the Vikings are 9-2. Green Bay Packers are 9-3. So when do they meet next? I want to see this. Sorry, I'm just looking this up now. Packers Vikings December 29th. Ooh,
yeah.
that's going to be an important game here in a couple weeks.
That and then the last game of the Vikings and Lions regular season, Vikings at Ford Field on January 5th is going to be an epic showdown. If it comes down to us two for the division,
Well, yeah.
is going to.
And I love how this time of year, I like how they did this because they kind of do this in the CFL as well. They'll go for your Western Division games at the end of the year, very little East games, and then they'll obviously try to keep it within the division because everybody knows that you're coming down to the wire. These are huge games. Like Packers have Lions on December 5th, Packers and Vikings on December 29th, and that's going to be in Minnesota, and then to finish the season, Bears at Packers, which is basically an automatic win. So
yeah, so
it's this is gonna be crazy.
So our next 3 games are at home after a long road trip. So we've got the Cardinals this week on Sunday, and then we have the Falcons. Kirk Cousins is coming back to Minnesota, so that's going to be a good game there. And of course, the Bears are coming in. We got to play them again the next week, and then we go out to Seattle, take on the Seahawks.
Yeah,
and then you guys are going to come in, and then the final game on the 5th is going to be there in Detroit. So,
that one's
we got a good schedule here.
That's going to be a crazy game, I think. That's going to be wild. I'm excited for the NFL season to wind down. My fantasy teams are taking a little bit of a beating. I was in first for a couple weeks, and then all of a sudden it all fell apart. So I really don't know what happened there. A little bit disappointed in myself for not keeping up on it, but hey, you know what, man? We ended up going to Grey Cup, and I think if there's ever an excuse to make, it's going to be for Grey Cup. So,
Yep.
Oh man, Grey Cup was crazy. We had a
lot of fun.
Oh, dude, it was wild. I probably got like a million stories. I think one that we just talked about on. Oh yeah, look at us. We're live. That's cool. We are live on YouTube. Wonder if anybody is watching this. Let's see if we got any viewers. Apparently we had a couple viewers, and now I am watching it too. But anyways, no. So yeah, Grey Cup, man. There's only so many events where you can go downtown to a city, find it all blocked off, and replaced with street zip lines and festival and concert stage and XYZ, all in the name of football. It was crazy. And I do remember 2018 Grey Cup. We do talk about this a lot on the Elks Call. Like, yeah, we did go through all of this on our latest episode. So go check it out if you haven't done so already, which we were actually supposed to be playing on EST tonight, but because of the Oilers game, it's not on EST. So anybody that was looking forward to it, they're going to have to find it over on our YouTube, which is Shotgun Sports Network. But yeah, man, Grey Cup was crazy. And I think one of the coolest parts about it was the fact that there was an area, and no, it wasn't even an area. That whole festival, that whole space, and even in the streets, just the city of Vancouver, it was CFL media, CFL players, CFL fans, and they were just all together, and everybody was talking on such a human level. Like, we're all just there to have fun. Obviously, players that were there with CFLPA and the other any other team or anything like that, if they were there on their own accord, whatever. I think, yeah, I mean, it was just they were very human. Everybody was very human. Excuse me. Those players definitely wanted to be on the turf for the game. Instead, we had to watch Winnipeg versus my team of 5 days, the Toronto Argonauts. So, and you know what, man? Toronto Argonauts won. No dynasty. Like I said on the Elks Call episode, the Grey Cup recap, I apologize for absolutely nothing. I'm happy that Winnipeg choked. I was not cheering for Winnipeg at all, and I'm not. I don't care if people view me as a poor sport. I'm not. It's a little bit of chirp. Edmonton Elks fans, man, have gotten it for so freaking long, and I mean, rightfully so. The organization definitely flopped. Became, as Ed Hervey called it, a laughing stock, and Ed Hervey's now the current GM, who was previously with the team for the 2015 Grey Cup. So, things are finally turning the corner with the Edmonton Elks, but it's nice to see Winnipeg miss out on the dynasty. And any clown that decides to call 3 championships in 6 years a dynasty, get bent. A dynasty, the Birmingham Stallions 3 in a row from
three out of 3.
3 for 3, baby.
They've only existed for 3 years, and they have been the champions for 3 years. So
undisputed right now in the modern UFL. That's a dynasty. 3 and 3.
Green football.
It rhymes. 3 and 3 dynasty. That's it. 3 and 4.
And hey, how about this? They're about to make history as the first football team to host a 4th season of spring football consecutively. So, yeah,
I saw that there was expansion talk. Did you get that one?
There is expansion talk. So, we can talk about a little bit about that. So they didn't give too many details. They only said that they want to see a place where there's a bunch of fan interest. So I'm sure throughout the season this year, they're going to gauge different places for fan interest.
Right.
They also are looking into venues. So I'm sure a place that already has a venue that's not being used during that time, or that's limited use during that time. So there's a lot of speculation on bringing somewhere in Denver, probably out west in California, or I really think that we're going to see the Portland Breakers come back. There's been a lot of trademark activity with that name.
Well, and they also got to go to the markets where the NFL isn't, where the NFL is not like near, right? Like,
right.
You already know, like, and even then, like, let's say you're like, okay, for the Colorado team, let's go to Boulder. No, if you go to Boulder, you're screwed just as bad with.
I think we're gonna see the Denver Gold for the USFL come back, because that was one of the original USFL teams. So I think we will see that. I think we're also gonna see an XFL team come back in the LA Wildcats, or I've also heard the San Diego thrown around too. So maybe the San Diego Wildcats.
Interesting.
Not sure. So there was also a recent filing for the USFL side for the name Aviators. So some people may have thought Ohio is, but I'm thinking more because they already have the Ohio Bulldogs filed. But I think we're wind up seeing the maybe in the Carolinas or something.
Yeah, in my opinion, I think they definitely need to tap the markets. Like go to Nebraska. Go to Nebraska, because really, excuse me, the Nebraska.
I had also heard Oklahoma, but that's a little close to Texas for me. Texas already has 3 teams, and they're hubbing out of Texas.
Oh yeah.
So,
Are they hubbing out of Birmingham for this upcoming season?
Nah, they're still all hubbing out of Arlington for this season.
Really?
I
Like
really so
yeah. Weren't you
I
at home games? Weren't you at Birmingham Stallions home games last year?
yeah. They're hubbing out, but they're flying out to the home stadiums for the games.
Oh, that's
They're
such a
all living and practicing in Arlington.
why? Are they?
Cut
Oh, they
down
must
on
be using
cost. It's cutting down on cost, honestly. So the way the XFL did it was they all hubbed out of there and flew out to the main stadiums. The way the USFL did it, they started out all here in Birmingham. Everybody played here in Birmingham. Second season, they had 4 hubs. Here, had over in Memphis. Then we have one in Canton, and then one in Detroit. So they had the 4 hubs, but there were still some teams that were not in their own markets. So now all the teams are still playing in their home markets. So I know one thing that the VP of football operations is really wanting to hurry up and do is get these teams in their home markets for good. But one step I did see that they are doing, they have people here in the cities that in the markets actually doing marketing, doing stuff like that. That they are actually on the feet on the ground in the markets at all times. So they do have people here in Birmingham. They do have people up in Detroit, over in DC, St. Louis. So, speaking of St. Louis, did you happen to hear about AJ McCarron?
I did. I did hear about that mess. I think you and I were actually talking about it this week. That's hilarious.
Yeah, a little bit. It was insane.
Give us the full scoop. Give us the full scoop again. In
So
case knows.
it was insane because AJ McCarron got a call from some of the coaches out from one of the other teams. He didn't disclose any details, of course.
Right.
But all of a sudden, he heard from them that they were talking about trying to trade him. And the way the UFL works is if you play a season and you're a free agent to go wherever you want to. But if you leave the league, the team, and you come back, the team that you were with has first rights to you.
That's right. Yeah.
So since he didn't leave, he didn't go to another team. So he's pretty much a free agent, if you will. So now he told him, look, you're not gonna try to trade me because I'm not gonna sign with you guys. So he wound up, Coach Anthony Beck wound up trying to say that they were gonna do collusion or whatever, tampering, whatever. But he said no, and they tried to go to the league on him, and they pretty much told him the same thing. Y'all have nothing on them. So basically, he called him back. They thought they were on good terms. They said, hey, we will sit here and give you a chance to make a statement with us, but all this, that, and the other. Say thank you to the city. Next thing you know, his AJ's son is running in there and saying, hey, didn't realize you were leaving the Battlehawks. Yeah. And he was like, what? So he showed him the thing, and it was insane. He immediately went and talked to a radio station over in Mississippi and wound up getting them to post something for him. It was insane how that went down. So,
question though. Sorry, and I didn't mean to cut you off, but question. Wouldn't his agent have a major say in all this? And if you're going to go ahead and trade a player, I'm pretty sure you have to contact the agent. So, maybe AJ McCarron is trying to be his own player agent, and maybe that's where this failed.
Maybe.
But even then,
I'm not sure how that's working. I know that the UFL, former USFL Players Association, did fold because it was being managed by the United Steelworkers Union.
Right.
But,
yeah, I did.
So they did disjoin that. So I'm not sure how that's going or what the agencies are regarding the UFL at this point. I know that I'm sure that some of them do have agents and stuff like that, but I'm sure with AJ McCarron, who he is,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's really weird. And I mean, I will say, like, I do know from experience, like CFL, I do know with CFL, there are some players that are their own agents, but then with players that can become elite or premier or whatever, like high end players, they definitely have agents. Geno Lewis, I believe that Geno Lewis, trying to think, is he his own agent? No, he might have an agent. I think Geno Lewis might have an agent. I do know of some players that have been their own player agent and they bet on themselves and they do their thing. So there players do decide to become their own agents and do their own negotiations. But I think that's also where you see the flaw in the system. Like, let's say with this AJ McCarron incident, if he's his own player agent and they obviously didn't want to contact him and let him know that he was going to be traded. If you're your own player agent, no matter what, the team should still be communicating with you all of these things, especially when you're representing yourself. And I mean, if AJ's agent, if he does have an agent and his agent went ahead and agreed to, basically took in the information and didn't relay it or whatever, then so be it. But, and I will say, I honestly don't know that side of the sports world that well yet when it comes to football. I really do not know all the particulars when it comes to the agency side, but I would assume that agents still have to be informed. And if you are your own player agent, you're essentially an agent. So that's
I
such a
don't
weird
think
scenario.
anything was official yet. I think they were just gauging. The team might have been gauging interest. So there might be something in the UFL to where they don't have to contact the player or the player's agency if they are talking to other teams about
Oh,
trading.
okay. So there was no official
There was
announcement.
no official trading or
Oh,
anything.
okay. See, yeah, I
That
was gonna
was
say if there's an official announcement, that seems
no,
like
no, no, no.
something's wrong here. Okay, so
Right,
no,
right, right.
okay. This
They
makes
were
a
just
lot.
I think they were just gauging interest
Yeah,
because they
no,
knew that they could get multiple players for AJ.
right.
So
Well, no. So, like, let's say flip side is they gauge the interest. They have a suitable match. They're about to do the trade. Agent would be informed at that point. That's the standard process. Is they can do their thing on their side. If they come up with a decision, they basically in that scenario, if the trade was legal, they would call AJ McCarron's agent and be like, "Hey, just to let you know, we're trading your client. This is where he's going. If you'd like to let him know, so be it. But this is the info." And I will say too, what else is interesting is you see that case happen a lot where players find out that they got cut or they got traded via social media. And the social media, team for these teams, for these organizations, they'll just go ahead and post that up first, and then player be like, "What? That's crazy. I opened up my phone and I saw that I was getting traded." And that
yeah,
does happen. In my opinion, I think that there should be a degree of transparency
there
between
should.
organization and agent and then player, right? It's crazy.
So
No, that is,
little update. I don't know if you're still watching the Georgia Tech game.
I'm gonna pull it up
They're
too.
up 20-6 now, and
No,
Georgia looks like they're trying to score here in the fourth quarter. About
yeah,
halfway through the fourth quarter.
yeah, I'm seeing that. Yeah. Georgia's got the ball, 1st and 10 on the Georgia Tech 23. So yeah,
They
they're
just
in
got
scoring range.
a first down. So
Yeah, they're almost at red zone here. So that's
Georgia has been really second half. A big second half team this season. On Alabama, they actually wound up almost beating us, coming back and beating us, but
Seal Crimson Tide.
insane.
Oh, dude. Speaking of SEC, I told you I met Luchez Purifoy, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I just wanted to make sure. Yeah, that was crazy stuff. We got to talk some real stuff. I would never
That's
air
awesome.
that out. I would never talk about that on air or anything. those conversations are always private, but I will say that I really hope the Double E re-sign him, and he's one of the realest ones out there, and especially too, like you got to actually watch him play with you said Auburn, right?
I think so, yeah.
Which tomorrow at 1:30 p.m. Mountain Time, Auburn Tigers at Alabama Crimson Tide. That's going to be a big game.
Usually I'm not worried about this game, but I'm kind of worried this season. The
Yeah,
past couple
well,
weeks, Auburn's been pretty decent, and here comes Alabama not doing the greatest. You know, you know, it's like
you guys lost Nick
Jalen
Saban.
Milroe has got a really great wide receiver in Ryan Williams, and he's got two really good running backs. But the issue is he's got to realize he's got to have situational awareness in the pocket. That's kind of his kind of downfall this past season. So it's been kind of a struggle there with him. So and
Yeah,
people have been worried and actually been trying to fight off and actually putting a spy there to make sure he can't run. It's got him spooked.
well, and I think it's kind of interesting with the Crimson Tide as well. You guys have had the stable Saban era. So Nick Saban's no longer with the Crimson Tide. I believe he's he's with the ESPN or something.
Yeah, he's actually with the College Game Day crew.
Yeah, exactly. So
ESPN College Game Day.
this is the first time in how many years since the Crimson Tide have no longer had Nick Saban?
He came in 2007, so the 24, so 17 years. I want to say.
Let's talk about dynasties. I mean, that Nick Saban, I'm sure multiple dynasties within his era, right?
Right.
That's a crazy stat. I gotta tell you about Edmonton Elks. I mean, I obviously got to get a little bit of double E in here because we're talking dynasty. I don't know when the next time we're gonna see a double E dynasty is, but I'm not gonna lie. I think there's potential within the next 10 years.
It looks like it. It looks like you are trying to actually with the new ownership, and now you got a new GM and trying to find a new coach.
Well, so 75th season. Let's I'll just give you like the full rundown here, like a Cole's Notes version. Okay, you got a 75th season. Warren Moon comes back to Edmonton for the first time in many years. I don't know. I think like 2010 or 2007, something like that. Some shit. And Warren Moon comes back, and I was, last year on the Elks call saying, look, when Warren Moon comes back to Edmonton, and I had the insight, I did have the little bit of a scoop on that one. I did know that Warren Moon was coming. I couldn't talk about it because very respectful to the Edmonton Elks organization, and we do not leak things around here at the Elks Herd and the Elks Call, but we know a lot. So I knew Warren Moon was coming. The only thing in Edmonton that could possibly derail one of the biggest games for the Double E, the 75th home opener, when you got Michael Riley, one of my favorites, tried to say hi to him. I've met him a couple times, but tried to say hi to him. He disappeared before I could get there at the autograph table. But Warren Moon was finally back in town. Got to meet Warren Moon, fangirled the heck, got one of my jerseys signed, like all of it. Like it was just like the coolest thing ever. And I was so excited for that home opener. They had the biggest alumni signing ever. And the Edmonton Oilers happened to be in the Stanley Cup playoffs, and they were doing well. So I don't know exactly where they were at in the playoffs at that point. But the only thing, I think they were actually first or second round. The only thing that could possibly dampen the Double E home opener like that would be an Oilers game in the playoffs. And of course, that's exactly what happened. So the attendance was lacking, this and that. Organization realized that, they kind of got to sell the team if they want to save the organization. And they sell it to one of my former bosses, Larry Thompson, former owner of Thompson Brothers Construction. I worked for Thompson Brothers back in the day. My dad worked for Thompson Brothers. So it's so funny. So Larry Thompson comes in.
Small world.
And, pardon me?
Small world, huh?
Oh, it's small world, especially here in Alberta, man. Like, I mean, it definitely extends to the States too. Like, I'm shooting the breeze with Luchez Purefoy, and you were watching him like 10 years ago or something. So
Yep.
it's 10 to 12 years. It's pretty funny, right? Now, Larry Thompson bought this team. He bought the Double E. He bought the Edmonton Elks and the Edmonton Eskimos property. He bought all the property. I believe the deal was that he took on all the debt, probably paid a small sum, but basically took on all the debt, took on all the responsibility. And he's had season tickets since like Clark Field days before they had Commonwealth Stadium.
Oh
Commonwealth Stadium
wow.
would have been like what 70, not I don't want to say 74, but like 74 or 78, somewhere around there. Like, I don't know. They're celebrating their 45, I believe, or something like that. But yeah, anyways, Commonwealth Stadium pretty old, Clark Field older. So he's been a season ticket holder basically all of his life. And his wife Deb, along with his wife Deb, they have like seats right at row one, right behind the Double E bench, the Edmonton Elks bench, Edmonton Eskimos. And this he's basically a super fan, a small super fan, pretty rich guy.
Talking
Sells his
about the ultimate dream of being a fan, though.
yeah, yeah. Why wouldn't you? I think I think as you get older, and obviously as you stop playing sports, and as you go on through your older progressions, yeah, I mean that's a dream, is to buy the Double E. And he even said so himself, that he's always, he thought at the age of 25, I believe, that was the first time he had that thought, was to buy the Double E. So this guy's actually thought about this for a really long time. Sure enough, he did it. He sold his last company, Thompson Brothers, for 800 million. The guy's a
Wow.
billionaire. He's now kind of getting his hands now in the sports realm. I think was it Thompson Family Arena is like a name now in Spruce Grove or Stony Plain, just outside of Edmonton, something like that. So Thompson Brothers was headquartered, I believe, in Spruce Grove or Stony Plain, one of the two, but they're two towns that are side by side. You drive through one, it looks like the other. They can kind of combine. You get what I'm getting at. But yeah, no, he ended up buying the team, and slowly but surely, he's rebuilding all of the pieces that we've lost over the years. Like, dude, if you went to an Edmonton Elks game last year, no, beginning of this year, even, like, no Upper Bowl at Commonwealth Stadium, prominent stadium in Canada, no Upper Bowl for its main act. That's stupid. That's because fans have no longer shown up. Why? Because the Elks changed their branding like way drastically back in the day. Not back in the day, but a couple years ago, 2020, I guess. 2020 is when they went through all that. In 2021, they brought it to the turf. Put antlers on the helmet. Like, I actually stayed up the other night and I was like, man, they screwed up so bad with like the rebrand. If you just kept them looking like the Edmonton Eskimos, kept the oval Double E that's right up there, you put that on the helmet still, just keep them what they were, and you call them the Edmonton Elks, there probably wouldn't have been much outrage. But they really mucked around with the team, and they lost their traditions. They lost like the equipment coach of 49 years, Dwayne Mandrusiak, beauty. They took away a lot of pieces over a bad regime. And then Larry Thompson comes in and he buys his favorite team, and then he starts spending money on it. And I think we're starting to see the return of things like Bone, which is Brotherhood of Nasty esques. That's down on the turf. And then the family vibes coming up through the organization, which will become community vibes for the city of Edmonton. That's how this team has always operated. I'm not even joking, man. It's so weird that the team like kind of depends on those things, but guys stayed in Edmonton through the minus 30 centigrade. So in Fahrenheit, we're talking minus 25 Fahrenheit, let's say minus 20 Fahrenheit, staying through the minus 20 Fahrenheit winters, being a community member, talking to people, being connected to the city of Edmonton. And Larry Thompson has lived here all of his life. He's lived in Barrhead, but he's lived in Northern Alberta all of his life. And now he's bringing back all of those pieces that were missing. He's bringing back, Chris Morris, who won 3 Grey Cups. Now he's the president and CEO. Ed Herby, who won the last Grey Cup, yeah, he's brought him back too. Who else? And now they're on the head coach hunt. There's going to be big news here probably within, well, I would say within a couple days. probably a press conference on Tuesday for the new head coach, and Ed Hervey's choosing his coaching staff, but they're returning to their old ways, the Eskimo way, as everybody in Edmonton, including the organization, still call it the Eskimo way. It's kind of like, and we call it the double E winning ways or the winning ways, or there's modern ways to put that without saying the word Eskimo or Eskimos. But and I mean, I'm not going to talk about that on today's sports bar. There's no way I'm digging into that. I don't know if you saw on X, I went ahead and asked everybody if they should bring the modern double E logo into the 2025 season. And all I got was, well, I'd say 80% to 90% of the comments on there. Bring back the Eskimos.
Yeah. Actually, speaking of what you were just talking about, Andrew Joseph on YouTube actually said the Commonwealth Games were on in '78. So
78, yeah. So the stadium opened up for the Commonwealth Games, and that's actually why it's called Commonwealth Stadium, is for the Commonwealth Games. The Queen had a golden toilet in that stadium.
Wow.
Did you know about that?
I did not know that.
There was only one person to use the toilet. It was Justin Trudeau.
Wow.
As a kid, Pierre Elliott Trudeau, his dad,
really,
prime minister at the time, he ended up bringing him in there because it was the closest washroom, and Justin Trudeau, as a child, really had to go to the washroom.
That's crazy.
The more you know, there's your more you didn't know, there's your trivia for the day. But yeah, no, it's Commonwealth Stadium, man, and I will say, like, there is nothing like Edmonton Elks game day. I will say that doing the Elks herd does change things a little bit, but there's nothing like, even to this day, even to this year, this season, and then even to next, the feeling, never changes. I'm sure it's a little bit similar for you in Legion Field, but Commonwealth Stadium holds so much history, and it's such a crown jewel in the city. Well, no, in the country of Canada. In all of Canada, it's the biggest stadium. It looks beautiful. It's the closest thing to a true original American football stadium. And I mean, you still walk in those gates, you still get the vibes, you hear the people cheering. It doesn't matter. Metallica was just here. Out of all the places that they could go, they decided Edmonton was a good stop for their 72 no repeat weekend, and like, that was amazing. Commonwealth Stadium does have problems when they do get up to that 56 to 60K capacity, but like Canada versus Mexico for the World Cup qualifiers, that was like absolutely legendary. There's so many moments and so much great, rich sports history in Commonwealth Stadium. So I think that we're a little bit blessed here in Edmonton to have that stadium. I really wish that fans would return to the stadium, but it's kind of cool when Ed Hervey stepped up and did his press conference. So yeah, I understand that there's not a lot of fans here in the stadium lately, but I see that as a protest for us to get it right. And you're like, in that moment, you're like, oh man, where's the wall? I got to run through it.
Yeah, we've been kind of dealing with the similar thing here in Birmingham with the Stallions. So that's one thing that they did say at the fall fan event for the Birmingham Stallions was, hey, if you build it, they will come. Yeah. And we're winning. We have won 3 championships. Last year, we had won 2 back to back.
Yeah.
There were still empty seats. There was some more than the previous year, and of course, the first year we had more because everything was based out of Birmingham. Everybody wanted the city. I wanted to see the new product, but it'd be great. Hopefully, we can get some more folks in there. Last year, we did have the shirtless guys come in in the end zone. So
those guys are beauties.
They got the folks up in DC may have the beer snake. Hey, they don't have the shirtless guys.
Yeah, they don't got shirtless guys. I mean, so it's funny. Winnipeg actually has the beer snakes up here in Canada. Now, it's funny. So you guys just got a 3-peat, and I mean, in the UFL, they're wondering where the fans are in the stands. Like, they're kind of like ushering people down there. Obviously, at that point, it's marketing. it's funny how we're complaining about our 18,000, 22,000 attendance in the bad years of the double E. Like we never see attendances like this, right? And we're all panicked and stressed. Dude, did you speaking of people going between leagues and going to the NFL and everything else, did you happen to see the highlights that I believe Spit and Chicklets and everybody else was talking about with that Rouge to win, that last Edmonton Elks game?
No, I haven't.
Oh, you didn't see that? Okay. So crazy story. And, we'll finish it off. We also had the punter on one of our episodes of the Elks call, I believe 2 episodes ago. But basically, the game came down to overtime with around 3 minutes left in regular time. 3 or 2 minutes. I think it was actually under 2 minutes or something. It was under 2 minutes. Toronto Argonauts ended up getting the ball back off a turnover. The Edmonton Elks gave up a turnover, tried to go for 3, and they missed it. And everybody just left. Everybody flooded out. Everybody's like, yeah, this game's done. I went to the washroom. I was kind of pissed. I was like, yeah, it's just another loss at home. Then I go back down to my seats, and the Edmonton Elks have the ball back all of a sudden. Or no, I went down and I cheered for the team. But yeah, no, the Edmonton Elks ended up getting the ball back with less than a minute left. And they tied the game. No, they got the lead, and then the Argonauts tied it somehow. It went back and forth pretty quick. And then the game went to overtime. The Argonauts went for their field goal because they didn't advance the ball, didn't drive the ball into the red zone or the end zone. Argonauts, who previously won a game off of Rouge in the season, they won 1 game off of Rouge, and everybody called it ticky-tacky. Argonauts boot the ball, miss the field goal. Elks run it out. Plays dead, out of the end zone. Everything's all good. There's no points conceded. Edmonton Elks get the ball back, and they don't really advance the ball too much. But because we have a really good punter, the punter was sent out to get a Rouge, and it was Rouge to win with a couple thousand fans in the stands. 80% of the stadium left. There's barely anybody there. It looked horrible on TV, horrible on all the optics. But man, win off of Rouge, end the season. Jake Julian, he used to play for Eastern Michigan, I want to say, in college, and then he was with the Patriots, and he was on their practice, or I think he went through training camp. He was with them for training camp. I don't think he did practice roster, but then he was cut, and he tried out for 2 teams, and he actually tried out for the Patriots again. Imagine already being with the team once and then getting cut and then trying out with them again, even though you were on the other side of the fence already.
Yeah, that's insane because I think we saw that something similar to that with a couple of the guys in the UFL. So it's insane. Sorry, I got a little distracted because Georgia Tech, their quarterback just rushed in for another touchdown. So.
Oh shit, that game might be over.
This is an insane game. But
real quick, just wanted to mention Jake Julian did recently work out with the Denver Broncos, and he does have
did.
I would say that he's going to have a couple, maybe not quite a few, but I think he's going to have a couple NFL workouts this offseason. He broke John Ryan's punting average.
Wow.
So John Ryan had a 50.4 or 50.6, something like that. John Ryan set that back in the day with Winnipeg Blue Bombers, or I want to say it was Blue Bombers, but he set that record, and then he went to the NFL, and then he went and won Super Bowls with the Seattle Seahawks. So it's easy to kind of predict that Jake Julian had 54. He beat John Ryan's average on punting by over 3 yards per punt, average. Crazy stat. I really hope he does make it there. But anyways, sorry, Ryan. You go ahead, man.
Talking about between leagues, how about you being able to cover MBT, who I covered just a couple years ago here in Birmingham, as he was a New Orleans Breaker.
Yeah, really cool, man. You and I already were talking about that as soon as MBT signed. Sorry, excuse me. I gotta move my head away when I cough. But it was so cool because you were covering MBT and I was stoked about it, and you were covering him with Shotgun Sports Network, the New Orleans Breakers, and I believe it was a playoff game as well that was in there too.
Yes.
So you covered him through the playoffs, which was really cool. He just won the Grey Cup the year before, 2022, Toronto Argonauts, and then he signed with the Edmonton Elks. I'm like, man, Brian, look, dude, it's MBT. He's with the Double E now. This is crazy. And he made some pretty good money with the Double E too, but
unfortunately, he didn't do too great. His former coach with the Breakers, Coach DiFilippo, actually did not have a great season either last season because he wound up losing his job at the end of the season. So neither one of them separately had much real success there after that good season with the Breakers. So
no, but you know what? And I'll say this: MBT was awesome with fans. Kathy and I got to talk to MBT so many times. Like we did the season tailgate. There's like a tailgate focus group for Edmonton Elks. Excuse me, and they brought us in. They brought us into the locker room, and we got to sit in the locker room and we got to ask questions and talk and everything. They showed us the 75th logo, which has been long released by now. But they showed us the 75th logo for the first time, held us to secrecy, especially with us being in there. And then they brought out MBT. So we got to talk to him, got to get a picture, tell him, hey, we're stoked to see you here. And then we also got to see him in the new 75th uniform. And he walked out. We were filming. The Elks gave us a heads up on where they'd be walking out. So we're like, yep, we're going to film right here. And he walks by and he's like, yeah, feeling himself and everything. Got a picture with him after. And then the best part of MBT through the season for us was the fact that he's down to earth. He's very genuine. He knows what he's doing, but it's so cool to see him participate in kids camps. And there was a 3-week Edmonton Elks flag football league. And they taught the kids how to play flag football. And MBT was the quarterback coach. He was doing the, teaching kids how to throw and all that. And our two boys got to go be a part of that. And to see him with the kids, he's a family guy, to see him, in that atmosphere, down to earth and, there for the community. That was really sweet, man. Our boys got to learn off of MBT on how to throw footballs and everything else. So it was really cool, man. And he's a great guy. I do think that he does have that elite quality. He's been in the game long enough. As far as with the Double E this season, those losses weren't on MBT. Maybe a couple, maybe literally maybe 1 or 2 or 3 on the season for the games that he played. Outside of that, man, all the other phases got to do their job too. Receivers were dropping balls. There's all sorts of stuff going on there. MBT actually played really well, and I believe he was I want to say he's top 5 for passing yards in the CFL this year. So yeah, MBT, man, he's a great guy. Cool that you and I both got to cover him. That's the beauty of Shotgun Sports Network. Holy crow, it's 3-2 Oilers at the end of the second.
Oh wow.
Yeah, that's pretty wild. Go Oil.
The Wings fell to the Flames earlier today, 5-4. So, and
Wings.
then the Birmingham Bulls here, they just lost to the Huntsville Havoc. So
yeah, how's Bulls season been for you?
It's been all right. They're up and down. They're very consistent in their goals, scoring goals. The problem is the rest of the league is starting to catch up with them. So it's just they're just starting to kind of get a little bit of chemistry now. So hopefully we can start getting a little bit of. We just won last night in Huntsville, so I was hoping we could sweep both games this weekend and against the Havoc because they're number 2 in the the SPHL.
Yeah.
And then we actually are going down to Pensacola tomorrow, take on the Ice Players. So
nice. No, the Birmingham Bulls, pretty cool that you're covering them. I know that you're always shooting stuff behind a lens, which is cool. I just did an LPW, Love Pro Wrestling / Clandestine Wrestling Society event myself. Ended up shooting that from behind the camera. It's fun, man. It's really fun capturing those amazing sports moments. There's
Yes.
so many cool things. Your Birmingham Bulls shots have been fantastic.
Appreciate it. I've been
Uh,
trying. I was actually looking at some of the stuff I was doing this past year with the Stallions, and then through to the Barons, and now to the Bulls and the Squadron, and I can't
right.
believe how much it's improved. Just tweaking things from time to time. It's just they say practice makes perfect, but it's true.
Oh, totally, man. Kathy even Kathy, my partner over at the Elks Call and Life. I love you, Catherine. If Kathy is listening, yeah, she's actually editing our photos right now. I think she actually got it done, but she's editing the photos from LPW, and she even said like, "Whoa, your photos are a lot better from the first time that you shot." And it's so funny, man. Like shooting sports photography, and especially like the first time, new sport, whatever. You can try to come in with a media plan, but it doesn't ever work
Never,
that way. No,
never.
it never works that way because then you find new spots and all of a sudden you're out of your environment. Maybe it's a venue you've never been to. That's happened to me where all of a sudden I'm like, what was it? The Clandestine Wrestling Society. First time I shot. This was only my second time. This last one I got to announce in between, so I've kind of been over there at the end of the month for the last 3 months. But which oddly enough, weird full circle here, but the last time before I did shoot number one, I was there for a Double E Edmonton Eskimos event in like 2018 or 2019 or something like that. We ended up as a season ticket holder, ended up winning my way in to play like Dave and Buster's style arcade with Double E
Wow,
players. It was
pretty cool.
uh, CJ Gable was a big one there. But anyways, yeah, no. So, but getting back to it, yeah, no. Love Pro Wrestling has been pretty sweet to shoot. I need a low light lens. I will say that if you're
I do
shooting,
too. I've got
yeah,
to get like a f-stop about 2.8, something like that.
yeah,
It's that's kind of been kind of struggling with me with basketball and hockey both. Because yeah, you've got the light reflecting off the ice and stuff,
mhm.
but here in Birmingham, or actually over in Pelham, it's still the lighting's not the best for the speed that they're going at. So definitely got to get a better lens, a little lower light lens there.
Do you? Yeah, you have a standard 50 mil, right? You have your standard 50 mil.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. That's actually what I've been shooting LPW with is standard 50 mil, and that's because of the settings, right? Like I put my exposure pretty low, aperture, play around with that quite a bit. So like yeah, when you're shooting certain sports, you're playing around with everything all the time, right?
yep.
Well, we're at
But
hey
yeah,
dude, we've been in the bar for an hour. I think the Oilers game is in second intermission, and it was great chatting. I think we should call her a day on our very first episode. If you're
absolutely, it's been great.
let me see if there's quickly something that I forgot here. One moment. One moment. This is also a pilot, so we can kind of do whatever we want. But I have
Yeah,
a feeling that the show is mostly going to go like this going forward. Sorry, I'm just going to our group chat here from when we were talking. We were supposed to have Jason Basic of Puck and Pigskin on the show tonight, but unfortunately, he had a bit of a personal emergency show up. So, things happen, life happens, and one of our big mottos over here at Shotgun Sports 2024 era is family first, life first. And especially tonight, don't take it too seriously. So, yeah, I mean, whatever happened there in his life, obviously he's got to take that seriously with the show and what we're doing here. Don't take this too seriously because honestly, we're just here to have some fun.
that's why it's called the casual sports talk
It's a sports
experience.
bar, man. We're here to have some beers, shoot the breeze, talk that stuff. Yeah, I mean, I don't care to talk about Colorado. Did miss this one. Travis Hunter for Heisman, whatever. I don't really care. I was watching the Colorado Buffaloes last season to see what would happen with them. I am happy that they pulled it around and Deion Sanders did his thing. Shuts a lot of haters up. I'm not a big Deion Sanders fan myself, but I've never been cheering against him. Let's put it that way. Real quick, last one. And you and I are both NFC North fans. Go Pack. You like the Vikings.
Go.
Did you see the fiasco, that time management fiasco that got Matt Eberflus fired?
Yes, and that is exactly what got him fired. It didn't come down to the playing, because even Williams was upset about that. They should have used the timeout and utilized the clock much better than they did in that game, or they could have won it.
Dude, I didn't even see that. I haven't even seen something like that this year at Commonwealth Stadium or last year. I've seen stupid stuff. Actually, you know what? I saw something like that last year. Let's say that. Something like that beginning of last year. But that is simply unacceptable. Yeah, and weren't they in field goal range where it stood?
Yes.
Like, what are you doing? What are you doing? I mean, I'm laughing about it, but at some point, there comes a point where it's so bad that you don't laugh as a rival fan. You know, like at this point, it's just sad, and that's the worst clock management. When you could have even made a call to spike the ball. You could have even spiked the ball in that moment to stop the clock. And instead you go for run clock, throw the ball. What? Yeah, I feel for Bears fans. I do have a couple fellow Bears fans in my life, so
yeah, same here.
Yeah, I'll say I feel for them. I'm not as hardcore about the Bears as a rival fan as, let's say, Stampeders, Flames, Montreal Canadiens, some of the other teams that are out there that I cheer for and against. It's not like I care that much, but also I've been blessed with having Aaron Rodgers and the Packers own the Bears for so long that, you kind of get that buffer as a fan. It's like, yeah, well, we had our day with you. No, the Packers still have their day with the Chicago Bears, and apparently now everybody else in the league. And the Bears could have beat the Detroit Lions, but they didn't call a timeout with the clock ticking. Like, what?
Man, it was all around horrible management of that clock there.
It's 30 plus
into that game.
30 plus seconds. You could have spiked it. You could have did so many things with that, and you got a timeout in hand. Call the timeout. If I'm Caleb Williams out there on the turf, I'm calling the timeout.
And as a coach, you can't depend on a rookie to think about that when you're in a hostile environment in Ford Field in Detroit. I mean, this is a rookie quarterback.
Well, yeah, no, and even in the CFL, coaches call the timeout. Coaches are yelling in the ear of the ref. So why would you depend on a first-year quarterback?
Right.
That's what I'm saying with the Chicago Bears. They always put so much stock in these up-and-coming, drafty, rookie quarterbacks that they forget how to develop them. And even in this has nothing to do with Caleb Williams. As far as I'm concerned, that has nothing to do with Caleb Williams. Matt Eberflus needs to call the timeout. And I'm pretty sure if you go on to any other sports talk on this subject, everybody's saying the same thing.
Yeah. And that's ultimately what cost the man his job.
Good.
To be fired, on Thanksgiving. So.
You know what? Maybe I am a little bit disappointed because now Matt Eberflus isn't going to lose with that team. Jesus. Okay, man. Let's call it a night here. I'll get the outro here tonight on the Shotgun Sports Bar. This is pilot episode. This has been a blast, Ryan. I feel like I actually just kind of sat here and talked sports with you. This was
fun.
Exactly
it
what
was
we were trying to do.
So much more casual, so much more laid back than what we usually do. So
yeah, man,
fun.
It's been an absolute blast. Can't wait to do this again. I know that the holiday season is busy for many, so we'll try to come up with this every week. Maybe through the holidays we'll give it a little bit of a break, and then maybe January we'll definitely hit it hard with weekly episodes. And this one started late today. We kind of moved things around a little bit. I would say
Had a
going
few
forward.
had a
Pardon?
few technical issues that we had to work through, but
Technical. It happens. It definitely happens. But I mean, going forward, we'll try to shoot for like a 4 or 5 o'clock Mountain Time, so then it actually, feels a little bit closer to getting off work and having a beer. But yeah, no, man, this has been fantastic. I can't thank you enough for hosting tonight. To our viewers, and listeners, thank you for tuning into the pilot. It's kind of like a secret episode. We did not announce it. We did not talk about it. We knew we were going to have bugs tonight. We didn't even know how this episode was going to go. So if you're listening or if you're watching, we salute you. We thank you for riding with Shotgun Sports Network. Go check out shotgunsportsnetwork.ca. Royal Retros, use code Shotgun Sports. Go get yourself 10% off some Royal Retros. If you're in Canada, you might be waiting a bit because Canada Post is on strike. And other than that, Ryan Messer, Scout Hnatuik of the Elks Herd, Ryan Messer of Shotgun Sports Alabama, and the Forge Podcast and the Stallion Stampede. Ryan, thanks a lot, man, for all of this tonight.
all right, thank you too, everybody.
Cheers, everybody. Have a great night, TGIF.